Hello. I know I did one of my disappearing acts, didn't I? I wanted to say hello and tell you about all the incredible things that are happening in the business at the moment. It really doesn't feel like me on my own in the shed for a change. So many things are going on with so many different facets. The business is growing so fast that I wanted to share with you because you might have been waiting for these developments to happen. So I'll tell you about the book in a minute because the book is just coming on so well. I'm so excited about it. But let's get to the cards. First of all, the Tongue of the Trees cards have now made it into two extraordinary places. The first is if you've been waiting for them to come to the US, Jade Shoots now has them on sale in her wonderful School of Aromatic Studies. $35 if I remember rightly. But if you have a look at the link for the cards, it will take you to a link to buy them from her in the US, so you don't have to spend ridiculous amounts of shipping anymore to the US. Hopefully India and Australia are not far behind now. The other exciting thing is that if you are in the UK and you are an Amazon customer and you have Amazon Prime, you can get them without any shipping because finally they have arrived in the Amazon warehouses. Now, I have obviously been working with Amazon for a long time, I guess 6 years with my books in there. But I can honestly tell you, getting my books in was nowhere near as complicated as getting those cards in. Genuinely, I have birthed children faster. It's taken me over 9 months, but I've done it. So if you want to buy from Amazon, they are on pre-order at the moment. Goodness knows what they're doing with them now they're in the warehouse. I think what they're doing is distributing them into different warehouses to spread them around to make sure that they can supply quickly. That's what it seems to be to me. But yes, so they're on sale. You can buy them. I have yet to see if I have managed to do the Amazon Prime bit right yet. So if you do go on and put them on pre-order and you are a Prime customer, please let me know and say, yes, it's right, or no, it's not right. This, you need to go back because I spend so much time going round and round and round and there's very little help. It's really difficult. But now it's in, I intend to grow the Amazon store quite considerably with different types of products. So watch this space. So that's the first thing then. So obviously we can still get cards from Fragrant Earth, and please do so. They're selling extremely well through Fragrant Earth. Jade has them in America now, and believe it or not, she's already sold half her stock. So if you want to get them for somebody for Christmas and you're in the US, I would suggest getting them now. I'm hoping I can say the same about Amazon. We'll wait, remains to see. But yeah, so I have to say thank you to Jade and to Lindsay in Jade's office for all the help getting them over there. And to Geglo, whose patience nearly ran out with the Amazon thing, but we did it, we've done it. So that's it. So the next thing to tell you is we have been working incredibly hard on the videos for the Tongue of the Trees cards for obvious reasons, to start pushing traffic to the Amazon store, but obviously also to sell the recipe hub. So this week, I think, I'm a long way ahead now with making them, so I'm a bit detached from when they're releasing, but I think this week was fennel and last week was galbanum. But what I've done is, in case you've missed any of those videos and you think, actually, I really would like to watch all these different videos about the cards, I'm going to put all of the different video links in for you now. I guess there's over a 30, there's somewhere near around 30 done. What is such and such essential oil good for? What is lavender essential oil good for? Helichrysum essential oil. Helichrysum is not be out yet because I filmed it yesterday. But geranium, you know, they're all going in, and each week they click up one, an extra one comes out. And the reason why that happens is every time a video comes out, another 10 recipes for that oil go into the recipe hub. So if you don't know what the recipe hub is, if you missed that, it's a database of recipes that Gerglay and I have made that are in line with the Tongue of the Trees cards. So at the moment, as I say, I think we've done about 30 oils, and for each one there is around about 10 recipes per oil. So they are filed in two different ways. They're filed in oil order, but they're also filed in condition order. And when I say condition, I should say system. So for example, these are the nervous system recipes. These are the skin systems. These are the digestive recipes. And then you just go in and you go, oh, okay, Liz did that one, Gerglay did that one. That one looks like a good one. And you listen and say, okay, right, how would they make this particular blend? So for example, I might say to you, this one's a PMS blend, and the video probably lasts around about 5 minutes, where we go through all the different parts of the oils that I have used, how many drops. And yes, I do go by drops rather than weight, because we're doing them in tiny little 30ml pots. So we do show you how to make, for example, a large batch of ointment from scratch. I say put that in the fridge and scoop out the bit that you want, just because these are recipes for you to use at home. And for the most part, when we're using it for physical medicine, quite a lot of the time it's for acute conditions, isn't it? So we don't want to make a massive, great big pot. We only want a small amount. So we would use drops of oil. How many drops of oil? What contraindications are we looking for? In this recipe, we need to be aware of pregnancy. We need to be aware of blood thinners. We need to be aware of phototoxicity, for whatever. And all the other conditions that go alongside it. And we just talk also about, you know, my feelings about essential oils don't have side effects. They have many main effects. So if we're going to use clary sage, for example, what else can we expect to see happening in the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, as well as what's happening in the physical body? What's going on with this energetic shift that's happening? So they're great fun. I have to say, the recipes, I have great fun doing them. But if you watch my face, you can really tell which was the beginning of the morning and which was not. Because, well, on Tuesday this week, I did 40 of them, all off pat. Because we did helichrysum, hyssop, juniper, jasmine. So a really nice mix of oils as well, isn't it? So yeah, so I'm going to put the Tongue of the Trees physical medicine videos. If you haven't watched them before, at the bottom of the video you'll see a link that takes you back to my website where you can see the metaphysical stuff. So on video 2, which is also free to watch, there is the emotional, mental, spiritual aspects of the essential oil. Also the safety, how to use each oil safely. And then Gerglay does a spot that we tape from in Budapest, where he talks about the blending too. So loads and loads of information. And then from there, obviously, hopefully you decide, yeah, I want to buy the cards, or I want to buy the knowledge base, or I want to buy the recipe hub. If you do buy the recipe hub, what you find is, as well as these recipes, for example, the 10, probably about 15 recipes of clary sage by now, as well as those, at the top you will also see that video 1 and 2, which is free to watch on YouTube, but also it's in the place where you need it. So I have been working really hard on the recipe hub, and we're starting to see real dividends now. It's also really nice to see, guys, how many of you are buying the knowledge base. I'm so excited to see that part of my business, which I have to say is my favourite part. I feel really proud of that piece of work, is really catching people's imagination. I'm having so many messages saying I'm absolutely loving watching the videos, because I think there's about 45 videos and they're about half an hour each in a knowledge base, so you learn huge amounts of information. So those of you who are following the knowledge base, I just wanted to kind of flag up a couple of things that are happening at the moment in the astrology that you might want to say, oh, actually that's interesting. I'll be interested to kind of watch the energies around that. So the first thing is this, I think September the 9th was yesterday, Mars starts to go retrograde. Well, it is going retrograde now. So it's been thinking about going retrograde and sort of preparing to go retrograde for some weeks. So normally the interpretation that I have always learned, and indeed I put in the knowledge base, is that when Mars goes retrograde, you kind of lose the Mars energy. So the drive, the motivation becomes harder to access. So things start to slow down. So for example, on a normal day, if Mars is going direct, it might take you a day to complete a project. But then as it goes, sort of starts to go into station, then you're going about 4 days to complete, and then probably around about 10 days to complete something when Mars is going retrograde. So I have been busily working really hard to get in front in case I really start to feel like I have no motivation whatsoever. I feel like I'm swimming in soup, which I have already started to feel. But then I saw a fantastic post by a lady called Astro Butterfly. Seek her out. She writes really interesting stuff, and she says, no, that's not what I see at all with Mars retrograde. What I see is Mars on steroids. So instead of you having this, instead of this feeling of being sort of in quicksand, you have this absolute drive, this fearsome drive to do whatever it takes to achieve what you're looking to achieve. Now I'm sitting here 2 days into Mars retrograde, and I can already feel both of those things happening. So that's really interesting. So I'm excited to watch and say, right, okay, Astro Butterfly, it's really interesting. Is this what I'm feeling, or am I feeling like I'm going in quicksand, or is it a feeling of both, which it feels like it is now, that I am just working so hard again. We have these times where you work so hard, doesn't it, that I mean, look at the list. That's a to-do list today. It's impressive. So is it because I feel like there's so much to do that I'm in quicksand? So that's the first thing. So I would say to you, Mars retrograde, watch. What does it bring to you? So knowledge base, guys, I want to hear from you at the end of this, which is around about 20th of November-ish. How has that affected you? The other thing is that we are in Virgo archetype. So for example, if you've got any friends who are Virgos, obviously you've been buying them cards and presents now. We are in a Virgo time. So the Virgo archetype is about systems. It's about looking for how things work really well and things that don't work so well. And Virgos like to go, well, I can do that better, and rehash the system. Now, funnily enough, yesterday we had our social distancing systems rehashed. You know, they were, so some places went into lockdown again. And we were told in the UK from Monday that we can only have groups of 6 together outside and only 2 households together inside again. Now I have to say, I didn't realise it had changed from that, and that in itself is very telling of the Virgo archetype, that somebody's gone, this system's not working, we need to make it clearer. So that's interesting. So watch that playing out as well, the Virgo archetype, what systems are changing. But for a long time now, since, I guess, I can't remember exactly, but maybe the end of 2018, we've started to have activity or lack of activity in Capricorn. So we've had lots of stuff going on. Pluto's been there for over a year now. Saturn is in there, and also Jupiter as well has been affecting it, and it's Mars's transition that has been sort of lighting it and sort of dousing it, and then lighting it and dousing it again. So particularly interesting in there is the relationship between Saturn and Jupiter. So Saturn's very comfortable in Capricorn. It rules Capricorn, and it's kind of, well, Capricorn, I always say, is a bit like an accountant. You know, it likes to see, Virgo is the systems and seeing how things work, but Capricorn is the absolute ledger, that you are accountable for everything that you do. And Saturn is restriction and boundaries and laying good foundations. So Saturn and Capricorn, very, very happy. Saturn and Jupiter are opposites. So there's always this kind of push me, pull you effect across many things in the horoscope, but Saturn and Jupiter are opposites. So where Saturn is restriction, then Jupiter is expansion. When Saturn's about getting real and getting your head down and doing the work and getting concrete stuff, Jupiter's like looking up to the sky, to the higher ideal, the philosophy, you know. Very opposite. So that when the two of them are against each other, it can be very difficult. But what you also see is they kind of amplify each other. So what we're going to see over the next few weeks, I think, and a lot of proper astrologers think, that Saturn is going to amplify Jupiter's effects and Jupiter's expansion, and what are we expecting that to do to the virus. So almost within a couple of days of Jupiter coming into alignment, suddenly we've started to see the graph going up again. If you're interested, that will continue until Christmas. Just January is when that starts to ease off. So that's fascinating, I think, to watch. One last point about that is one of the areas that I have to do a lot of research for, the historical parts of my books, is a website called JSTOR. And JSTOR have like a newsletter that comes out each month, and they tell you about new articles that have gone in there. And one happened to catch my eye the other day, that somebody had written about how plagues and protests always go together. And they tracked it right the way through to around about the 16th century, and various big plagues, and then big moments of explosions in societal discord. Not always about the plague, in fact quite often not about the plague. And I thought it was really interesting when we're seeing the Black Lives Matter, we're seeing a lot of discord about the ecology, all of these things happening at the same time as the plague, and it's almost like, well, what's caused that then? So that's worth watching as well, plagues and protests. If you want to look for the article, I can't remember who wrote it, but it is on JSTOR, and it's called Plagues and Protests. So that's interesting. But for me, the most exciting thing of all is how well my Melissa book is going. So I think I know that I hacked Gergley off a lot, really, because I said, right, we're putting structure in place. I'm going to work 1 week on the videos, 1 week writing, 1 week videos, 1 week writing. So that's meant that we've had to be very structured, very driven, and I've nearly sunk him while he's trying to do his magazine at the same time. So apologies, Gergley. However, I'm not changing it, because just being able to concentrate on the book completely. I've nearly finished all the science, And I've done so much more restructuring on the chapters about ancient Greece that I feel very confident that I've got 2 really strong chapters now in a book of around about 300 pages. So I'm so happy about that. But I kind of felt like, where's the magic? I'm writing it. I have this real strong feeling, this real strong connection to these priestesses. It's really strange because it sounds silly to say out loud, I really do think I was one, but I really do think I was one. So I thought, well, I happened to just come across, it was Jan Kishmirik who said to me, actually, the Glastonbury priestesses are called Melissae. And I was like, oh, that's a new thing. So actually, they're not all gone then. And now I've started to search for them. There are lots of Melissae priestesses. And so I have started some formal training with one, funnily enough, in Shropshire with me. And that's been fascinating. Just really exploring my magicalness as a woman is really fascinating. And then so that was a lady called Jennifer Naylor, and she's doing a cracking job of really bringing out a part of me and things that I haven't noticed. I'm really enjoying that work. And then also I'm due to do some more work with another lady, another Melissa in the States, although how easy it's going to be for her because she's surrounded by these awful fires in California. But her name's Ariella Daly, and she does some work called Dreaming with the Bees. And yeah, so it's about dreams interpretation and using the bees as a metaphor for the womb. So that seems very far-fetched, but after all of the work that I've been doing, it's absolutely the most obvious thing that you can do. And when you read the book, you'll realise that makes utter sense. So I'm very excited to do the work with Ariella because I've watched a lot of her YouTube videos, listened to a lot of her podcasts, and she's a deeply wise lady. However, I don't dream. So when I was about 9, I had to go and see a psychologist about terrible nightmares that I was having. And the psychologist taught me how to turn my brain off to not notice the dreams. So I've always thought, well, actually, I don't really need to, because when I, in that half world between wake and asleep, I wake up knowing what I've got to do for work. I say to my brain before I go to sleep, this is the information I want you to sort out. And when I wake up, it's there. And that has always been extremely helpful to me for writing the books, for example. So now to be able to kind of challenge myself and say, need to go and undo that, I feel quite fearful, but very exciting. And the funny thing is that Dex really dreams, really dreams. And in fact, he came into my bedroom the other day and he went, I've had a dream. And I was like, to me, dreaming's... I went, are you all right? And he went, what do you mean? I went, what was your dream? And he was like, oh, it's great. I was like, oh, okay. And he said, it made me really laugh because he's gone up to big senior school this week. He said, well, it was set at Ludlow Junior School, obviously. I said, right. He said, because I won't dream about the senior school for a long time. It'll be at least 2 weeks till the senior school's in my dreams. I was like, that's very precise, love. Anyway, so we have the alarm on the phone as our alarm. And Daryl had already got up, so it had been snoozed to make sure I didn't sleep through. And it's got a 15-minute window between each sort of ring. And Dexter's talking for so long about this dream that they bust twice. So we got half an hour's life. I went, are we nearly finished? He was like, no. I went, oh, well, can I have the abbreviated version? He went, I don't know what that means, and continued on. And in the end, I went, enough. We're going to go to school. So I'm looking forward to trying to get a little bit closer to where he is through this work with the Melissa book. When will it be ready? I don't know. I'm aiming. I have got an offer from somebody very kind to publish it in hardback. for me. And to do that, it will have to be ready in January. Can I make it? Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Am I going to take up the offer? I am seriously considering it. However, the nature of the book may mean that it doesn't lend itself to hardback at all. So I'm hoping that we can have a timeline that says just after Christmas, but we'll wait and see. So I think that probably tells you a huge amount about what's going on. Please do. Oh, I know lots of you want to know about Amy's virus vaccine. She's still very well. She's still very well, thank you. She is actually raising money at the moment for cancer research, running 2 miles each evening, carrying the dog most of the time. And so that's how well she is. So yeah, so far so good on the vaccine. She feels very well. And we're all good. Dexter's having a lovely time at school. Daryl really loves his new job. I got to see Andrew the other day for the first time since February, and we ate and laughed and ate and ate and ate. And it was great. So, yes, send me your news. I'm excited to hear from you all, and hopefully, don't take this the wrong way, hopefully I don't have to up the amount of these again because we're all in lockdown again. Fingers crossed. Stay safe, everybody. Stay safe and well.